Uh, if you ask me about networking, you ask me about networking too. When you have a great network, I think if you have a doubt in the future, like you're going forward, you can always pick up the phone and ask that person, how does this thing work? How is it? You can get grasp two, three opinions on a particular topic. Like you're seeing, if so, for example, if I am talking to my friend, we are discussing a certain topic. So we have one way of looking at things. But when you get these speakers, when they come on stage and they tell you about how it looks on the other side, it's not all book. It's not everything's not on the book. There's some things that you gain practically also. And these are the people who have already had experience and they come and tell you about how things are.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast by Skilled Sapiens, where we explore the ins and outs of your B school journey and beyond. I am your host, Reet, for today's episode. And today we have a very special guest with us, Disha Shetty. Disha is a dynamic professional with a strong background in media, advertising, and public relation. So she's currently working as a public relation and communication intern at Vedanta Limited, aluminium business. So Disha has also gained valuable experience through various internships at Patel, The Practice and Digital Solutions, among others. And she is currently pursuing her MBA from SIMC Pune. Welcome to the show, Disha.
Thank you. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
So we would like to know more about you. So first, can you start by telling us a bit about yourself and what you would like our audience to know about you?
Definitely. Something that I would like to tell my audience or someone who's watching this podcast is that I have completed my schooling from Kuwait, and then I have moved to India. I did from LKG till 12th in Kuwait actually. Then I moved to India to do my bachelor's, which is from Manipal Institute of Communication. And then I took a gap and I did few internships, which we'll be discussing, I guess, when we move forward. And then I worked for 2 years, almost 2 years, actually around 18 months or something, in an agency called The Practice as a account executive in the role of PR. And then I decided I need to do my MBA and master's, so I decided to do my master's in Communication Management MBA from Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication. Currently, it's still ongoing, and I'm interning with Vedanta, like you mentioned. So these are few things that I think is a good starter for you guys to listen.
That's great to
So yeah.
know. So, like your experience in the internship at Patel and the practice, your work ex there, this led to your interest in the marketing, or was it something else that led you to pursue marketing at SIMC Pune?
So, so the thing is, I did my internship in public relations. So I very early, like when I was interning in Madison with as a role of brand communication. So at that time, I knew there was something in this line that I wanted to pursue. Is something that I wanted to walk through in the media and communication field. Although I had made my mind in 10th itself, this is the whole sector that I wanted to explore. I was just not sure which part of it. I was not sure if I wanted to be a journalist or I wanted to shift to something corporate. But I didn't know there were a lot of sectors under media and communication itself. It took me some research before I stepped into the field. Uh, when I did that, I figured out there's something called as public relations, and there are a few other things like our social media strategist or brand communication for that matter. And when you say media and communication, a lot of people only think it's an advertising or at least when I was talking about my time that time in Kuwait, not a lot of people knew that there are other fields as well in it. So yeah, and then after I explored, I realized that, and as soon as I did my bachelor's, there were a lot of other areas that I explored apart from advertising. So I decided there was a classmate when they teach you, you get to know that there are a few other subjects as well. So public relation was one of our subjects, and I found it interesting. I thought, wow, strategies and writing. It's like all in one place. Even events, like you get to coordinate for events. So I'm like, yeah, this is nice. This is interesting. But when I decided to, when after my bachelor's, when I decided to step out, it was a COVID hour, and that time getting an internship was difficult. Getting a role was kind of difficult in anything. And that time we had this compulsory internship that we had to do. So I decided to intern in whatever I get next. So I started mailing my resumes to everyone possible, asking that I am interested in these roles. I was open to exploring that time. So I went into brand communication, and that's how Madison approached me, and they were like, "We like your profile, so you can intern with us." So that was my first exposure to the corporate world as a whole. When I then I then but I somewhere in my mind I knew I wanted to do PR, so this is maybe a way of exploring. And the Madison I was working with, that was in the they were into PR. It was called I don't remember the name right now, but they had PR in their work. So I understood that this is pretty interesting, and this is the line I want to explore. So it was either public relation or brand communication. And as I moved forward, as I told you, it was a COVID hour. So then afterwards, I mean, around November, I got graduated from my bachelor's, and I decided, okay, let's look for a job. So when I started looking for a job, I during that time it was very difficult to get a job. So I was like, I'm not going to sit idle. So I decided to intern in different roles or whatever roles that were available at that time. So if you see, I have worked as a social media communication and strategy. I've done an internship in that. Then I have I did one more. I was working with one of my friends. We were just playing around. We were trying to start our business, and also we did that also. And yeah, so I just knew that I didn't want to sit idle. So I just explored different roles, thinking that maybe if I have interest, I develop interest in some other field. Then when I did, then I got my job in public relations like I wanted. So when I worked there for 2 years, then I was 100% sure that this is exactly how I want my thing to be. So I understood that exploring was also a good idea. And then coming back to PR was what I wanted. So at least now I'm in a single mind track that this PR is what I want to do. And during during this time, now that I had the exposure of PR, so as in our media and communication, we can take up electives. So I decided not to pick up PR because I feel like I have gained some substantial knowledge in it. So I decided to pick up other things. So I wanted to sit on the other side of the table. I wanted to know how brand communication works. And media and marketing analytics always adds to your. It's a good start to know something about software, or analytics always helps. So I just thought that could be a good minor.
Yeah, that's great to know that how you explored different options and then you came to public relations. And so we'll start from the very start that when you started your MBA journey, you were the part of corporate interface team. So what was your
Right.
experience like in the corporate interface team? Could you tell us about your involvement with various other clubs or committees, or how they have shaped you for your professional skills? Did you apply to other clubs and committees as well, or were you very sure from the very beginning that you want to go into corporate interface team only?
And I was pretty sure I wanted to get into the corporate interface team. Not just because it's something that excites me. I think the word corporate excited me. I am a very big workaholic. I think a lot of people can vouch for that. But another thing is key when the corporate interface team presented itself, like the first event that they had done in college, I was pretty much interested with like they get to network with people, they get to organize events. And I think that was what excited me. So I was pretty sure that corporate interface team from the start, very beginning, I knew it was my preference. Yeah, I mean, if you ask my role in the team, you get to network with people. You understand how things work, how you need to make things work. If there is best thing of all, this is the best place to learn crisis management, I think, because in an event, a lot of things can go wrong in the last moment. So your team standing together, coming together, bringing that team spirit up, and working together, you get to learn how to overcome that crisis. And other thing is you get to network with a lot of people. Like you go through profiles, you understand what kind of we have we whenever we do our whenever we come up with an event, like we have our flagship event coming up, Compassage. So this happens every year. So people, we sit and brainstorm what can the main theme be, what should be the sub theme. So again, you're thinking out of the box over here. You're bringing different. You're thinking about. You're learning about the current scenarios, and you're trying to understand what best suits. What is something that you would like to impart to your fellow peers or the upcoming batch, because they will attend the event. So you want to bridge the gap between the corporate world and the academics that you learn. So here you even learn how to think out of the box. You get to network with people. You learn. You basically handle an event. So event. So I feel like these all things help shaping, because especially if I talk about the role of PR, for me crisis management helps. Networking helps. I like when I was working for 2 years, I still know a few journalists that I can pick up the phone and talk to. So like that, I think somewhere or the other it aligns with what I want to do in the future. So maybe that's why the corporate interface.
Yeah, that's great. So, how do you think that participating in corporate interface team can benefit students in terms of skill development? And you also mentioned networking. It helps you in networking. So, what was your way or approach towards networking while you were in the corporate interface team?
So if someone's looking, I feel like certain skills are something that's common, like understanding how to work in a crisis, how to work in a team. First of all, not a lot of people are uh, keen towards working in a team. They rather feel like I can do this myself. I don't need a team. But here, handling, you work with your peers and then moving forward as a team. And networking, obviously, networking I think plays a crucial part in any role you pick up in the future. So I think these are few skills that everyone takes away with them. These are, I'm talking from the position of if you're a member or part of the team. People who are not part of the CIT team or are not are part of some other committees themselves, they attend these events. That's where they grasp the knowledge of what's coming, like what the industry is asking for, how the industry looks like, because we try to, because you're hearing from professionals who are certain years ahead of you. They know the current trend, what's happening, like the AI. Like last time we had this whole discussion around AI. We have our topics integrated around AI. So I think that's what you take away as an audience from the events of CIT. Uh, if you ask me about networking, you ask me about networking too. When you have a great network, I think if you have a doubt in the future, like you're going forward, you can always pick up the phone and ask that person, how does this thing work? How is it? You can get grasp two, three opinions on a particular topic. Like you're seeing, if so, for example, if I am talking to my friend, we are discussing a certain topic. So we have one way of looking at things. Now, if I'm talking about an SMC, we see the entire thing from an academic perspective, something we are sitting in the classroom. But when you get these speakers, when they come on stage and they tell you about how it looks on the other side, it's not all book. It's not everything's not on the book. There's some things that you gain practically also. And these are the you my role in PR required me to network with journalists, because if I don't have that communication with them, I don't have that one-on-one connect with them. It will be difficult for me to send out a press release and ask them, does this press release look great? Is it something that your organization would carry? Is there some changes that we can incorporate so that going forward we write press releases in that way that a journalist might be interested to pick it up, and a publication might be, every publication writes it in a different way. So I think for me that's how, for I'm talking from the purely from the perspective of PR, because I have been there, so I know how networking works for me. Yeah, so I think that's that's
Yeah, that's really helpful to know. And especially those who are viewing it can benefit a lot from it, that how should they network. Yeah, so like I want to ask that what was the process of getting into the corporate interface team? Like every college has different process. So at SIMC, what was the process like? How many stages did you have, and what you think that which skills and what pointers do help students in getting into corporate interface team?
So, in SIMC, we have various other cells. We just don't have the corporate interface team. We have the placements, we have the admissions team, we have branding, we have a long list of cells. Here, you basically choose it from your skill set, what you want, what you think of, and so it starts by these cells giving introduction, the heads and the entire team coming and speaking about this. Then you see which aligns with you mostly, and then you they release a form where you give your three preferences in order in ranking, like 1, 2, 3. Once you give that, then you have an entire interview process that takes place. Before interview process, actually, you have the task round. They give you a task, you do the task, and then for all the three cells, all the three preferences you have put, you do the task. Then they create this whole interview. There's an interview. There's a panel of people from the cell heads and members. They create this. There's a panel over there. They sit and they interview you to see if that's what aligns with what they are looking forward to, like the cell also. After that, I think from my side, the list comes out of me if I get in or get which cell I've gotten or I have not gotten. And I think from their end, they have a few, like from the cell side, they have to do a few here and there because the other cells are also trying to get the same. So my preference for corporate interface team was first, and my alumni relations was second. So I think when I got the preference, I think they were not able to make that choice. So they sent it via mail asking me to choose one. So I went because that was my first preference. I wanted to go with the corporate interface team. So that's mostly the process of how it works.
That's great. And you mentioned about the task, like first you have to give your preferences and then you are required to complete certain tasks. So if you could share what are
Right.
those tasks that some of the tasks that you did.
So my task was I had to. I was given actually very innovative task. I was very happy. I was very excited doing it. It was something different where I had to think out of the box again. So what they asked me was they first they asked me to create. So we have a LinkedIn page where we come up with different ways of engaging with the audience and the batch. So we put out contents over there. So they asked us to create contents for that. So I don't. I think I did some. I don't remember my topic. I think I did something around metaverse. So those posts, you create that post, you design it, and you show how this will look. So that was one task. The other task was I was given few brands, and I was given a I don't know, genre maybe. Like I had to write a script for an ad. So basically, there's an apple. An apple is someone who's very edgy, and they do this. They don't do much of much advertising, and we were given a tagline as well. So you had to write it in such a way that the genre comes out. So basically, I took apple, and the genre was romantic. So I had to write something making apple look romantic, and there was a tagline that I don't remember the tagline. So you had to create a script basis that. So that was one of the tasks.
Yeah, so like you also mentioned that you had to write something about the genre about the in the romantic genre about the apple. So that brings me to the next
Mhm.
question, that you have also done your internship as a creative content writer, if I'm right. So how did you
Yeah,
land
yeah.
up those roles, and how did that help you during your MBA journey?
So like I mentioned, when I was I love to explore. I told you that. So when I was looking for a job, I told you I'll not sit idle. So I took up this social media strategist and content. Uh, I don't remember. It's something around content and social media strategist. So basically, what I would do there was I had clients given, mostly healthcare clients. I would they would their social media page we would handle. So I would write the content and I would ideate ki how the design of the post would have to look, and I would communicate it to the designer after I get approval from my manager. So once it's a go ahead, I send it to the designer. They design it. So there's certain visuals that I have in my head that I think might look good in the content. So as much as I can communicate it, I communicate it to the designer. So as an MBA journey, if you're asking me how it helps me in my MBA journey, is ki we eventually do everything that leads us to something that we land up in a better place in the future. Even the MBA is part of that journey. So when I decided to do this, it was purely key. I didn't want to sit idle. Two, I wanted to explore different roles because I told you I was certain about PR, but I was worried that what if in the future I may not be as excited as I am currently for PR. So I decided to explore a different role. So when I did that, so that's why I picked up this role. And when how it helped me in my MBA journey is because it gave me that confidence to speak. Like I was not a very outgoing person. I was not like even me talking about networking right now is after I landed up my first job, and I think I became better at it when I joined this college cells and clubs and all those societies. Uh, I when we speak about this journey, it gives me a better because I have such robust knowledge about things right now, how things look like in different different fields, whether it's PR, brand communication, or the social media. It gave me better during my interview process to speak about things. So when we were doing our MBA, we had different processes. We had first we had the snap, we had the exam, and then we had the group discussion and personal interview round. So during those group discussion and personal interview rounds, you have some knowledge about how things work like. So you are able to speak better. So I think you speak with confidence when you have such things in the prior experience.
So, like now we'll talk about your current internship at Vedanta. So, what was the process of getting that internship? How many stages were there, or what was the interview like? Do you remember any questions that they asked and you would like to share with our audience? And yeah,
During my process, I think there were series screenings and the same generic processes that we have for every interview. Here, what happened during my interview was since I had prior experiences, they did question me a lot on it because I did put it on, obviously I did put it down on my resume. I did mention the roles in detail. So they asked me questions related to that. Because I had worked for almost 1.5 years. So they did ask me a few questions. Since I was in the technology vertical, when I was working with practice, I was working under the consumer technology vertical. So they asked me questions like, how many journalists do you know? If they ask you to name any five journalists, could you name five of them? Then they asked me ki, how has that role helped you? Like, how did it look like? How did a day in your life look like? So I explained all those things. Who are my? I basically it's that they asked me mostly based on my prior experience, and I think one thing they asked me was about the company. What is our recent? What was our recent? A few press releases we sent it out. So I think one, if anyone's giving an interview, I think they should be thorough with about the company and whatever they have put down on their resume.
that's great. So, do you have any final piece of advice or the suggestion for the students who are currently planning to join MBA or who are in their internship? So, if you have any advice or any suggestion for them.
I would say so. So I don't have a suggestion. I think if you are making that choice, you're taking that jump. deciding that right now I want to take a break from my corporate life and do an MBA, I would say go ahead. Because and one thing, if you're doing an MBA, please enjoy what you're doing. Be sure that this is what you want, because it tends to get a bit hectic, and I have seen people lose out interest in it. So if you are passionate about it, take the jump. Otherwise, you can always go back to the corporate world. You'll always go back to the corporate world. And when you're doing your MBA, do have fun, because I think this might be the last time you might be a student. So when you're doing your masters, any masters, not only just MBA, if you're doing any other masters, do have fun. Especially people who are coming from the corporate world or have seen the corporate side. So because it gives you, it allows you to go back and be free, rather than just being hustled very up. So I think, and for people who are thinking to take this jump, make sure that you can balance things. You can because there are a lot of things that happen. There's cultural events that happen. This is not just for MBA people, but for anyone who's getting into colleges. MBA specifically, I think decide your niche, because there are many niches that have come in MBA itself. There's finance, there's HR, there is mind for that matter, communication management. So decide what you want before you do a thorough research. See how does the um, how does it look like. To speak to the few alums who have been there. Understand how the studies curriculum looks like, and then I think you should decide to do it or not do it, or choose your college very easily.
Thank you so much for sharing your suggestions and advice with the students. I hope it will help them a lot. Thank you, Disha, for taking out your time and joining us for this podcast. It was pleasure to have you with us today. And to our
Thank
audience,
you.
yeah, and to our audience, if you have managed to reach the end of this podcast, we would love to have you back for even more enriching conversations. So please subscribe to our channel and like the and yeah, until next time.